Hey guys, uh, for doctrine today, I wanted to talk with you guys a little bit about two of the missionary saints of our Catholic Church. Specifically the patron and patroness of missions. So you know how every saint is the patron saint of something, something in particular that they uh, did in their life, something that they were known for. That's what they become the patron saints of. And so to continue our discussion about evangelization and mission, I thought we would talk about the two patrons of mission. So the first one is St. Francis Xavier. And St. Francis Xavier met St. Ignatius of Loyola at the School of Rhymes in France. I probably didn't pronounce that right, but it's okay, you get the picture. School in France. And uh, St. Francis, he didn't really have an on fire faith until he met St. Ignatius. And St. Ignatius pushed him to embrace a deeper meaning in life, to embrace faith, to embrace Christianity. And boy, did he. So, uh, St. Francis Xavier and St. Ignatius of Loyola were two of the, ultimately it's St. Ignatius, but they were two of the kind of founders of the Jesuit order, which we know in our church today to be one of the great missionary orders. But St. Francis Xavier wasn't just an ordinary missionary. He baptized more people into the Christian faith than any priest in the history of our church. Okay, baptizing hundreds of thousands of people, going first to India. And from India, he evangelized all along kind of the Middle East and the further eastern parts of Asia. Um, his dream was eventually to evangelize in China with these people who were so hostile to the Christian message. But he ended up dying before that dream came true. Nonetheless, the man was an incredible missionary. He had an incredible zeal to go and spread this news even to people who he didn't even know the language. Right? He didn't know their language. But he had this method where he would use a bell, and this bell would call the people of a town to prayer. And when they came to prayer, he would know enough words in their language to kind of give them a broken down version of the creed of what it is we profess in Mass. And that would be their prayer time each day to kind of pass on the Christian faith through baptism and then through the creed, through our beliefs. Right? And so he showed a great zeal and a great bravery to kind of go to these uncharted territories of Christianity and start spreading the gospel message. And he did this all his life, just baptizing people and raising them up in the faith. So very clearly, an example of mission and a very good patron of mission, of what it means to spread our faith. The other patroness of mission, this is a very interesting paradox in our church. The other patroness of mission is Saint Therese of Lisieux. So Saint Therese of Lisieux, a young French girl, ended up joining the convent. Pardon me, joining the convent at the age of 14. Okay, so very very young, and she dedicated her life to prayer and to life in the convent. So from the age of 14 until her death in her 20s of tuberculosis, she didn't set foot out of the convent. Right? These nuns were strictly cloistered. They didn't go anywhere. So where do we get this idea of patroness of mission? It doesn't seem to make any sense. But I think you have to look deeper at the heart of what it means to be missionary in order to understand this. So first of all, there were instances in her life where she wrote to priests who were on mission, and she wrote them telling them how she was building them up spiritually and constantly praying for them, and how she considered these her brothers, right? Her brothers out on mission, and she had this great unity with these priests who were out spreading the gospel message. And so, yes, she did have contact with missionary life. Um, but much deeper than that is the truth that prayer is far more powerful than we will ever understand. Right? Not just powerful, but it just prayer. Prayer is this great reality that draws not only ourselves to God, but humanity as a whole to God. Right? And especially, our church has all of these little pockets of contemplative prayer for men and women who spend their lives in monasteries and convents praying, participating in liturgy, um, doing works of service for their brothers and sisters, living together in community, offering their lives to God. And this love and this unity and ultimately this prayer spreads the power of God throughout the entire world. Right? Somehow it spreads the presence of God throughout the entire world. And in this way, Saint Therese of Lisieux was a missionary, right? That she was uh, immersed in prayer, immersed in her total unity with God, such that she could bring others with her to that unity. And she said herself, the closer you get to God, the closer those in your heart come to God. Okay, so the fact that our church has these two patrons of mission, one who spent his entire life baptizing new Christians and the other who spent her entire life in a convent, shows that there's a balance to every mission. Right? There's a balance to the missionary life of the church, but a balance to all of our missions as well. Which means that our mission needs to have two things. It needs to have, first of all, a willingness to go out, a willingness to go and talk about our faith, to talk about our reason for hoping, right? And to bring the message of Christ and his gospel and the good news that we are saved to other people. Okay, that's one side. The other side is to immerse ourselves deeply in relationship with God, in relationship with Christ. It's so important. Like, this is the pillar that you can't do without. Right? And St. Francis Xavier did not do without this pillar, right? He had his own prayer, his own opportunity to immerse himself in the love of God through conversation. And that's necessary to all of our mission. And the closer you get to God, the closer those you touch and those who touch you and who are a part of your life, the closer they get to God as well. Right? So these two parts of mission are imperative. Okay, so leave some comments for me. Tell me what you think about the missionary life of the church and what it means for you yourself to be a missionary. Thanks for listening, and God bless you.